Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome to my booth. I'm Jay. Today we're listening to a sample sent in by Krixus. However, they had a somewhat larger question about voiceover as a career path, voiceover as an industry. So I wanted to talk to their question first, to your question, Krixus, first, and then after the fact, we'll listen to your sample and break down some performance notes as we can. The question in question was, I want to know if voiceover is something I could pursue. I want to escape my 9-to-5, I want to make some money to support my family, and I feel passionate about this being a potential road in that direction. And it's a really wonderful, large question that I'm asked often by folks who are just starting out their voiceover career paths, whether they're playing with the idea of it, whether they're just dipping their toes in the water, or whether they're knee deep. It comes up frequently. And my firm belief in this matter is if you want to make a go of it, there is room for your voice in this industry. Every individual, your voice, your experiences, your life, it all comes together to give you just a beautifully individual voice. And there's always going to be a market. There's always going to be someone who wants to listen to you, your story, and the way that you tell stories. And I really, truly believe that. I'm not sugarcoating things. I'm not sprinkling magic dust to make it sound better than it is. If you want to make a go of it, you can. Full stop. Doesn't matter who you are. Now, the flip side is, because the barrier to entry in voiceover is so low, everybody can do it. And it's a beautiful thing. The internet connects us all. We can make a go of it. The flip side to that is everybody thinks they can do it. Anybody can buy a microphone, plug it in, and record something and try to make a go of it. And the difference between the folks that think they can do it and the folks that build sustainable and successful careers in voiceover, it comes down to a few factors. It's partially the amount of training, the amount of experience you have technically in your space, the equipment you have, sure, all that comes into it. But ultimately, it's somewhat of a numbers game and somewhat of a luck game. And by that, what I simply mean is, you have to prepare yourself. If you're ready to make a go of it, you will have to invest a lot of time and energy into improving your work, listening to the feedback. This maybe isn't working. I'm getting bites on my auditions over here, and slowly over time working that into your business, your niches where your voice is marketable in a sense. And that takes time. It also takes time to get used to using your equipment and stuff. All of it is an incremental and very, very patient process. To use myself as an example, I had the backing of over half my life in performance, both professionally and amateur, in film, TV, stage. I have degrees in acting, a lot of training at my back, all of which is supporting me, but none of which is guaranteeing me any level of success. It's just stuff that's going to help me in having a longer, more successful career down the road. And in my first year, I submitted somewhere north of 2,000 auditions across everything over the course of a year. That's a lot of auditions. And I booked, I don't know, maybe 20 so jobs. It was a very, very small ratio of jobs I booked versus jobs I auditioned for. And that wasn't a failure. That was me building up to my success. So all of this is just to say, Krixus, that anybody can do it. And that's a really exciting aspect of this career. But it does take work and investment to make it a long and successful and sustainable career. That's what this whole channel is about, setting you up for success in that vein specifically. So fret not. I just wanted to lay that caveat out. Of course you can make a go of it in voiceover. It just takes a lot of work and patience. I'll leave it at that. We can talk about it more if any of you are interested. Let me know. With that said, hey, Krixus, let's listen to some of your narration. Oh, And of course, as I mentioned, if any of that didn't make sense, let me know. All right, here we go.
Chapter 1. Down the rabbit hole, Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank, and of having nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book, thought Alice, without pictures or conversation?
Okay, already, Krixus, I love your instincts. You've got a great pacing in this book. I'm allowed to rest with images when I want. I can hear the movement. You've got a great lilt to your voice. The tone of your voice is lovely, and the reason why I didn't listen to this sample first is it's irrelevant. You can make a go of voiceover regardless. And so anyway, what I love about your sample, your pacing is great. Your reading, your storytelling ability is really great. Of course, there's stuff we can improve on. The big thing for me here is so far, and Alice in Wonderland is a great example, is it's so wry, witty, and almost irreverent at times that you can let us hear that a bit more if you so choose. So when Alice is looking at the book, it's one of my favorite images where she's just like, there's no pictures in this book. You can give us a little bit of attitude if you wish there, instead of making it a sterile reading. You can embellish the story a bit more if you want.
So, she was considering in her own mind, as well as she could, for the hot day made her feel very sleepy and stupid, whether the pleasure of making a daisy chain would be worth the trouble of getting up and picking the daisies.
That's an example there of, because this is a somewhat old book, old text, the structure of the sentences may be a little bit off. And that sentence in particular, there's a break there that we can just connect the thoughts a bit. Let's listen back just briefly.
For the hot day made her feel very sleepy and stupid, whether the pleasure of making a daisy chain, as well as she could, for the hot day.
This is what it is. So I have another video, I can't remember when it was. There's a short about it, about using parentheticals. This little middle bit, for the hot day was making her sleepy and stupid, is a parenthetical. It lifts out, it's sort of like an addendum within the broader sentence. So it should flow like,
as well as she could, for the hot day, as well as she could.
As well as she could.
Whether the pleasure of making a.
As she was considering, as well as she could, whether it would be worthwhile going to pick daisies for a daisy chain. And the addendum is, as well as she could, for the hot day. It was making her really crazy and stupid. It was hard to think. And so she considered it. So we can connect that thought a bit more. Check out my other video on parentheticals if you want to know more.
When suddenly a white rabbit with pink eyes ran close by her.
That's a great example where you're giving us a little bit of emotion in the narration, and suddenly this rabbit appeared, and it's exciting.
There was nothing so very remarkable in that, nor did Alice think it so very much out of the way to hear the rabbit say to itself,
this little bit here, when it's so very remarkable, that's an example of the old English. There was nothing so very remarkable. It's the very isn't the thing that we want to lift. So that's just a note about this age of writing or this style of language, essentially British speak. It just works differently in structure. I can break that down in more depth, but just let's do it.
There was nothing so very remarkable in that.
There was nothing so very remarkable in that. Is the sense of the thing. So we don't want to punch very there. It's not the point of the sentence. Anyway, the rabbit's about to say,
oh dear, I shall be late. When she thought it over afterwards, it occurred to her that she ought to have wondered at this. But at the time, it all seemed quite natural.
Yeah, I love the rabbit voice. Oh dear, I shall be late. It's great. It's really, really lovely. I somewhat can tell perhaps that you spliced that in. If you didn't, or if you did, it doesn't really matter. I may just introduce a smidge more space after that. So we can hear the rabbit say, I say this sometimes, think of it cinematically, where we have the shot on the rabbit. Oh dear, I shall be late. Then it has to go back to Alice. And if you just give us a small beat there to separate them, it helps us a little bit. But Krixus, really, really lovely work. Truly, I think you've got great instincts. And I would listen to some of your favorite audiobook narrators if you're interested in audiobooks. I know you said you have some commercial stuff as well. But yeah, really great work, and keep us updated as your journey into the wide west of voiceover takes shape. For the rest of you, I hope this was helpful as well. If you like this stuff and you find it helpful, it helps us if you take a couple seconds, click those buttons down there. There are other ways to support the channel, these efforts in the description below. And finally, if you would like to submit a sample for review just like this, there's a form in the description of the video. Fill it out, send me something, and we'll put you in a video just like this down the line. Until the next one, hey, be well, everybody, and I'll see you there. Toodles.